Hey gang, today I want to talk about Cain Velasquez's potential legal defense when it comes to his attempted murder charge. Also, I'm wearing my Kobe Covington Chaos t-shirt. Big fights this weekend. If you're not watching and you haven't been watching the pre-fight build-up, make sure you do so because it is phenomenal. This is one of those build-ups you don't see very often. Really suggest that you get into it if you aren't already, and if you are, enjoy the fights this Saturday. So let's get back to the big news. Cain Velasquez attempted murder charge. So Cain Velasquez's relative was alleged to have molested one of Cain Velasquez's closer relatives, which rumor is his daughter, has been charged with child molestation and child endangerment. Of course, the district attorney released this individual on bail early, which of course enraged the Velasquez family that this person was let out on bail. So that's when Cain Velasquez decided to go vigilante mode and take matters into his own hands.
I'm Batman.
Appears to have ambushed the suspect, his stepfather, and another male in a vehicle. Cain Velasquez fired multiple rounds at the vehicle, striking the stepfather, not the child molester, the stepfather of the child molester, I should say, and rammed the vehicle with his truck before the vehicle fled the area. Cain Velasquez was apprehended and charged. If you look at his mugshot, he seems to believe what he did. You can almost see it in his face. He believes what he did is correct with vigilante justice. Now, you can think about it however you want, whether or not he did the right thing or he did the wrong thing. We're going to be talking about the legal analysis of this. So, there have been cases in the past where people have taken the law into their own hands, and although they're found guilty, they're always found guilty, they've gotten a reduced sentence due to the molestation or any of the sexual assault being a mitigating factor, and they get psychologists to testify on their behalf. So a mitigating factor is a factor that the judge takes into consideration to your sentencing. So if you were abused as a child, if you were the victim of domestic violence and then you, let's say, killed your partner, those are all mitigating factors that the judge can take into consideration to sentencing. So of course, in this sentencing, a huge mitigating factor will be the fact that Cain Velasquez's relative was molested by this individual. The issue that Cain Velasquez is going to have is that he didn't shoot that individual. So probably the most similar case that I can think of was Glary Plauché. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but in 1984 he killed Jeff Doucette. Now Jeff Doucette had molested his son Jody for some time. I think he was like a karate instructor or something. Had been molesting his son for a huge period of time and had been arrested for it. And Gary felt so guilty that he had not seen the signs that his son was being molested, that he waited for Jeff Doucette at an airport and turned around and shot him in the head, killing him. It was caught on camera, one of the few, high-profile murders caught on camera.
A trusted martial arts instructor is accused of kidnapping and abusing one of his young students. The victim's father uses a gun to take matters into his own hands. And the horrifying scene is all caught on camera.
And so Gary, of course, pled guilty, was found guilty, but had numerous psychologists come in and speak to his mental state and what had happened. And he was sentenced to, I believe, 7 years or something like that, but it was a suspended sentence, and he never served a single day in jail. And his son actually wrote a book about it. You can look it up. And to his death, I believe, in 2014, Gary stated he didn't regret what he did. He would have done the same thing again. So there is the opportunity for reduced sentence, like in this case, no jail time, if you have like a huge amount of public support, which at the time Gary did. There are a couple of crimes that are deemed like irredeemable crimes, and those of course are sexual offenses, child porn offenses, and in some cases murder. Now, I looked up several cases where a person was shooting someone in self-defense and missed and hit an innocent bystander. And I thought it would be more cut and dry because, like in the policing realm, for example, the police are responsible for every bullet they fire. So if they miss a round and it hits someone, they're responsible for every round that they fire. So I thought the same would be the case for self-defense. If someone's attacking you, you have a concealed carry permit or a legally carried gun, and you fire back and you miss and you hit some random person, you're responsible for that. But it was not as cut and dry as I thought. It's about 50-50 where the person wasn't charged for hitting an innocent bystander and the person was charged for hitting an innocent bystander. But of course, this isn't self-defense, this is vigilantism. So this is not going to... So Cain Velasquez's defense is going to be to plead guilty, but to have psychologists testify on behalf of his sentencing of what this trauma did to him and why he did what he did in hopes of a reduced sentence. That is going to be the most likely legal defense. I don't think he's going to deny the allegation. I think he's going to plead guilty to the allegation, but present during sentencing or prior to sentencing enough mitigating factors to show the judge, listen, this is why I did what I did, and this is why my client deserves a reduced sentence. Now, with the mandatory minimums for, I think Cain has a total of 20 charges right now. And the mandatory minimums, if he pleads guilty to every single charge, the mandatory minimums are 20 years in prison. So most likely, hopefully, he can strike a plea deal with the prosecutors to plead guilty to some lesser charges that allow the judge more leeway in sentencing. Sometimes mandatory minimums can get in the way of a judge's discretion when it comes to sentencing. Now, these prosecutors, a lot of times, they don't like when people take justice into their own hands, so they could try to nail Cain Velasquez to the cross, but like a lot of things can get very political, so if the public gets involved in their support, a lot of times they'll back down, maybe do a plea deal. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll see what happens. Anyways, that's it for my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on the comments. What should happen to Cain Velasquez? Was he right in his vigilantism, or should you never take the law into your own hands? Thanks again for watching. Make sure to watch those fights this weekend. By the way, I like both Jorge Masvidal and Kobe Chaos, but I liked them back when they were friends, and they split up, and if I have to pick sides, I'm going with Kobe. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.